How you been? It's been a while.
Very well. How was your Christmas? What?
No, it was just it's just very formal. Have you been? Oh, very well. Very well. Thank you for asking. Yes. Yes, I've been top notch.
That's what happens when I'm not drinking, and I'm just drinking water out of a mug.
Oh,
Become very civilized, Nick.
very civilized. Oh,
Very civilized indeed.
thank you for asking. Yes, I have been capital T terrific.
I had a really nice break. Did you?
Yeah, I had a lovely break. I was over in Australia for like 3 weeks all up.
Yeah.
It was long
too
enough
long.
to actually kind of fuck with my my like body clock and everything. When I got back, I was like hungry at all kinds of weird times. I didn't appreciate it.
When do you usually get hungry?
I get hungry at 6:45 a.m., 11:35 a.m., 4:45 p.m., and then at around 9:30 at night.
How are you not fat as fuck?
Because I only eat 2 peanuts every time.
That made me feel very uncomfortable.
This is what it's like when I've been drinking and you haven't. So you need to. It's a flipped. We flipped the switch.
What do you think of the Golden Globes?
I watched it, but as I tend to with those award shows, I always watch it after it's aired, so I can fast forward all the shit that's boring, because there's so much in those ceremonies which is so boring.
What do you think of Gervais?
Gervais, I liked him. I'm not surprised now to see so many grumpy celebs in the crowd that you'd think would have like a better sense of humor, but don't. Like, it's always slightly weird where it feels like some of the like up and coming celebs find it funny because they're still kind of on the outside and they like get what he's doing. But then once you hit that certain tier of prestige, you know, Tom Hanks is kind of just like frowning or looking confused and stuff. You're like, come on, Tom. You know it's just a joke, right?
Yeah, and I thought he was brilliant. And I don't even think that he was
less provocative. He was less targeted
so,
at individual people this year and more at like the overarching like industry.
Yeah.
There was not
But
actually that many like Tim Allen jokes in the way, you know, or Mel Gibson jokes in the way that he classically did.
They gave him the monologue, and then they didn't really give him that many introductions of people.
But I think that would be his choice now. I think if he comes back to
think?
this thing, he has total control over what he wants to do. And he just probably thinks of the, 6 people that he can make a crack at that he finds funny in those introductions. And then says, that's all I'm going to do my 10 minutes at the front. I'll pop up 4 more times after that. And then I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I liked how he said, you know nothing about the real world. You're in no position to lecture anyone. So get your award, thank your God, and fuck off.
Yeah.
I thought that was fucking.
But I mean,
brilliant.
he's a little bit. He is a hypocrite for saying that as well, because he does come out with shit which only he would, say or do, being in a position of like rich person privilege now. Like,
sure.
But it doesn't mean it's untrue to tell those people that either. It's just a little bit of hypocrisy.
Yeah, probably. But it is fun to watch for sure.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to, like... They've already announced that Amy Poehler and Tina Fey are back next year. That'll be fun. But I don't think anyone actually watches those awards for the awards, because it is known to be such a sham. It's like 12 anonymous, like, European critics who just decide this shit arbitrarily. They're very easily wined and dined. All the stars are only there because they just get to have a drink. I don't think any audience members actually watch that show looking for like validation of their favorite movies or whatever, right? So
totally. And I was thinking this, and I eat this shit up, and the Oscars as well. I really love it, but
the Oscars is different though. The Oscars has thousands of voters, right? Like, that at least has some credibility as coming from the industry, right?
But the voting system still is not. What was last year was Green Book. The year before was Moonlight. I mean, these are no one's favorite films, and the voting criteria. I think you sent it to me. No,
I think they are people's favorite films. It's just that the makeup of the society still skews to a certain demographic, right?
I thought that the voting system that they have basically makes it so that the second and third films get a push up to number one, because number one, like people's number one films are typically
very
polarizing.
subjective, but the 2 and 3 are kind of more unanimous. I don't know how the Academy's scoring system works, but if that's right, it sounds vaguely familiar now that you say it, but if they sum up all of the second place and third place voters, and there's more of those than any of the individual first place, then maybe it does, bubble up those more mainstream consensus hits. But arguably it should, right? Isn't that the point, that you're looking for a consensus from the Academy? And if most people call it everyone's second film, and more people said that than it was, La La Land got for first, right? Yeah. Then,
well, that's how we elect people here, I guess. But even still, the idea of pitting art up against each other, or putting Joaquin Phoenix's performance up against Robert De Niro's, it's bullshit.
Oh yeah,
because they're just different performances. So that is complete bullshit. And yet, every time I'll eat it up.
I think
it doesn't mean anything.
Sorry, I think the most you're right that it doesn't mean anything, but I can understand how in the moment as well, if you get the nom for best performance, you'd be feeling like, holy shit, like all my peers love me.
Absolutely.
Like I get the response, but
no, if it happened to me, I would lose my shit.
Yeah, don't count your chickens. I don't think you're gonna win an Oscar.
Really?
No.
What about
you can win a Tony?
SAG?
Yeah, you might get a SAG, but you're more of a character actor. You don't have the mainstream appeal of an Oscar.
I appreciate you saying anything about my acting.
Do you see a flash in the back of my room at all? I really think that my light just electrically exploded. But
why don't you have any art in your room?
I find it too confrontational.
What the fuck? What is wrong with you? You know what? You can choose the art. You can choose not to have confrontational art.
It just, it's just a bit much,
You don't have to have Nazi propaganda.
Oh, okay. I kept that furled up for most places anytime. I don't know. It's just, it's quite, I just don't know how to, I just don't have it here. And, do I want it framed? That's going to cost money. I do have a poster that I have curled up here.
Yeah.
I do have some art in my room. It's in this packaging tube from when it was sent.
What is it?
Obviously, it's a picture of Justin Theroux walking down a flight of stairs.
That's pretty cool.
It is. It's also...
what's that for? The Leftovers. Should I watch that show?
It's really good.
I'm never going to watch it, am I?
You're not going to watch it because you don't watch TV.
Is it fantasy or something?
No, it's very good. It's about a... It's set in a world in which 4% of the world's population just disappears overnight, just completely evaporates, and there seems to be no pattern or reason to it or whatever. But it's not the purpose of the show. You never find out where these people went or why. The question is, and the drama of it is, how do people cope with the grief of losing people and not having an explanation? Do they turn to religion? Do they turn to sadism or self-harm? Do they join cults? Do they try and ascribe meaning to something which is, implicitly meaningless? It's about how people cope with the loss and cope with grief. It's quite a sad show. It's also very terrific and very cathartic and very clever and very well written. And it's got great music by Max Richter. Oh, it's a very good show.
You know what I watched, and you probably scoff at this, but I watched Don't Fuck With Cats.
Okay.
That was good.
What's Don't Fuck With Cats?
Also, the worst title for a show I've ever heard. It's like this 3-part crime thing. It's not like true crimey, but this thing happened.
It's not true.
It is true.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but it's kind of like catfish mixed with something else, but it was so good. freaked me the fuck out. Emma didn't sleep for like 3 nights.
Well, that's a very good recommendation for a crime, Netflix series or?
Yeah, Netflix series. The title was inexplicably bad because it's
based off something thematically
It just
relevant.
sounds like it's going to be some internet cat video thing.
Yeah.
Which it's not. Which it is kind of, but like not.
No, that's not the thing. It's not tonally right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my tip.
Cool. Welcome to Deep 4, I guess. Yeah. This is a podcast. We do it on the regular. Now that we've had our little diversionary Christmas break, we'll be back on a regular schedule again. We're going to aim for 2 weeks, like always. You can rely on us, except when it doesn't happen. Sitting through the internet with me, Michael. Say hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi from your nice new house, staring at a mirror. And
internet connection a bit better?
It is so much better. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I switched to Internode, like you said, and
there you go.
Yeah.
And my name's
you're Nick.
Oh, you got so close. I thought you'd say hi to me, but no. You just said who I was.
Not how I roll.
Not how you roll. I get a feeling from this episode, it's going to be a bit of a grab bag. You know, we haven't spoken for a month. We're going to catch up. So if you're looking for deep and meaningfuls, next week we're going to be on the regular.
I've got my own deep thought notes thing.
Okay, you've got a separate. You got a private one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because sometimes I write things down. And it's absolute nonsense. So I don't want to put it in.
So for my own safety, I'm not allowed to see it.
It's basically just thoughts. Like if I died, and I died under suspicious circumstances, and the cops went into my phone. That, I don't know. That would be very incriminating.
Surely, then you want me shared with it so that I can remotely delete that, and then remove all the questionable content there.
Well, I wouldn't mind a bit of mystery.
Okay.
After I'm dead, I mean that can be my legacy.
It's not a great legacy if no one knows whether or not it's intended. There's no better legacy than ambiguity.
Well, it'll keep people talking about me for a bit longer.
People go like,
you know what I mean?
Why was that belt around his neck?
If I did die,
when
would you do a episode where you just did highlights of me and just talked about me and stuff?
Would I stitch
in memoriam
together
episode?
Would I stitch together previous episodes, take your dialogue out of context and use it to make it sound like you said really stupid things? Probably.
Yeah, good luck.
Can you just give me some random comments here, which I can use in the future to sort of twist your words a little bit?
It's not so much that, it's just how I've written the notes shorthand. One of them is guy masturbating in the street. Actually, I can tell you that one. The other day, I was walking not far from my house, and this is at 9:30 in the morning, and there was a man completely naked, in the middle of the street, completely naked, jerking off.
With his dick?
Next to a school, and he was yelling, and he was ducking
next to a school?
It was next to a school, yeah. It's fucked. And he was ducking in and out of people's front yards, coming out onto the road, jerking off, running back into another yard. And I had my headphones on. I was like, what the fuck is this? There was another young guy just up ahead videoing. And he was videoing him, and I took out my headphones. I was like, is this really happening? And he's like, yeah, I live around the corner. This is the 3rd time it's happened this week. I've called the police. And then I stood with this guy. I said, do you want me to wait with you? And he said, if you don't mind. And we were trying to keep a safe distance because he was probably in his 60s or 70s, but I don't know. He was
rattled.
Yelling at us, and it was kind of scary, but it felt like I could outrun him if need be.
Yeah. Plus his hands are occupied.
True. It's really hard to run.
You can't do a Mission Impossible style Tom Cruise run if your hands are.
Definitely not. And yeah, so I just waited for the police to come up with this young
What
guy.
did they do? Arrest him and take him away?
Once I saw the police coming, I I actually did this thing. You know when you get into like a situation where you've called like the authorities?
Yeah.
Maybe this hasn't happened to you that much, but it's happened
And you're
to me
like,
quite a
was
lot.
this serious enough for me to call? Am I going to have to like give my information to them?
Well, yeah, there was that. I mean, it was kind of on this guy because he made the call, so I just
Sure.
felt safe to leave. But you do this thing when there's like an authority thing, and you're like on the right side of it,
Yeah.
and you're like, guys, I'm helping out here,
Yeah.
and I waved down. I saw the cop car coming down the street, and I walked up to it and like waved at it. I was thinking that they were going to stop, and I would tell them what's happened.
Yeah.
And they just walked straight past me, and I felt like a little bit embarrassed
Oh.
that like I had motioned for them to come and talk to me, and they just went straight past me.
Yeah.
But so I don't know what happened.
So when that happened, you felt too much shame to make sure it was all resolved, to see if the other guy needed any further help. You're just like, well, that was a incredible kick to the pants. There I was, raising my hand out to say hi, get a high five from these friendly cops. They just completely ignored me, left hanging.
Yeah.
Now I've got
So
to pretend
fuck
I
'em.
was waving at someone behind them and go over and catch up with that guy.
Yeah. And I also thought maybe that they just got a call saying that there's a guy in the street who's been jerking off, and then maybe they thought it was me.
If they did, they would have spoken to you.
True. But
Well,
anyway,
that's a little bit of a Monday morning wake up.
yeah.
Gosh. So that's the kind of stuff that you want me to delete and misuse in like a memoriam segment? Like I can take some choice phrases out of that.
If you wouldn't mind.
Okay. Do you want that played at your funeral?
That me telling that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Just might not be. I mean, there's lots of other stories you've told on here, which are probably good funeral fodder.
I would really like to plan my own funeral. I think I'm the only. I've got some really specific ideas about what I would like to happen at the funeral, and I think I'm the only one that would be able to pull it off. I don't really trust anyone else. I think maybe you.
Oh gosh!
I'm thinking you're in the running. You're in the running.
I'm a maid of honor, given these responsibilities for your funeral.
Well, you haven't got it yet.
Oh, I think the one problem will be distance. Like I got some travel time involved. It might be something that's easier done with like a local in Adelaide.
Wait, so you're not going to come down for my funeral?
I'm gonna come, but like if no one gets to be best man if they're like an international, because there's organizational shit that you've got to do in person, and that's just always easier with someone in the same city.
I would imagine that you would be
There when you die.
Yeah. That'll be my last words as your hands are around my neck.
Like the masturbation story at my
The weird thing is I'm masturbating at the time.
I think it was implied. Yeah. Oh gosh. Good. Well, maybe look. How about we do some science news? I guess.
Correct.
It's going to be a grab bag. Let's
yeah.
pick some stuff.
Let's grab at it.
Play the jingle. Nah, that's more excitement, Nick. I'm going to take another take. Play the jingle. It's that time. Time for science news.
I like that the science news jingle is up and easily accessible. And embarrassingly, I have gone and played it just by itself on my headphones.
You are referring, of course, to our brand new home for all Deep Thought audio other than I guess, the Deep Thought podcast, which is soundcloud.com/Deep Thought. If you, specifically after last episode's Christmassy carol ending, thank you for all of your kind words, by the way, you can go and listen to those and other songs we've made and some of the jingles and the theme song and all of it in high quality over at soundcloud.com/Deep Thought. You know, just if you ever get that itch to be like, oh, I really want to hear that Christmas rap, you know, and fair enough, it's over there. Or if you're Michael, listen to the Science News theme.
Yeah, I actually listened to all of them.
Alrighty, so science news this week. Let's go hard science. Let's dive into this right now. New Scientist reports, we have seen signs of a mirror image universe touching our own. New experiments are revealing hints of a world and reality that are complete reflections of ours. This mirrorverse may be able to solve the mystery of the universe's missing dark matter. Leah Broussard thinks that parallel universes where everything is flipped might be very real. Along with her colleagues at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, she's on the hunt for a universe that is identical to our own, but flipped so it contains mirror atoms, mirror molecules, mirror stars, planets, and even mirror life. If it exists, it would form a bubble of reality nesting within the fabric of space and time alongside our own familiar universe, with some particles capable of switching between the two. After decades of tantalizing hints about its existence, the first experiments aiming to go through the looking glass are about to get underway. Finding such a mirror universe would not only transform our view of reality, but could also answer questions about our own universe that have puzzled scientists for decades. The implications would be astounding. So,
this is bullshit.
Oh, coming in hard. Coming in hard right away.
It's like this physics, philosophy, think wank.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? When people there's multiple universes where every version of yourself is. I mean, there is none of that.
Okay. Do you want to hear the science part of it, or should we just stop there?
Sure. We should stop. After I just blurred out my first thought.
made your decision already. That's fair enough. It's not great for the content of a podcast, just to sort of behead something so early on. But look, I respect your freewheeling spirit, and I've grown used to it.
And tell me.
No difference really in substantial nature to anything about the simulation theory, but we still talked about that for a fucking hour. But okay. No, Nickel cut short the interesting.
Well, I've thought about that one.
Okay.
All right, good. Go on.
Alrighty. The idea is that there is a parallel universe that is oriented exactly flipped to ours, a mirror of it, and that mirror universe consists of all of the dark matter that we see the effects of in our reality. So we think that there should be 5 times as much antimatter in the universe, or dark matter, than we've ever found, because we see the gravitational effects of it, but no one knows where it is. The hypothesis is that there is a mirror reality in which everything is everything is flipped. There is 1/5 antimatter and 5 times regular matter over there, which is causing which balances out between these two universes, right? So okay, let me I'm looking at your frowning face.
I'm really trying to focus, but okay. I have ADD, and
you don't know
I'm just imagining a galaxy at the moment. That was in my head.
Okay. There is dark matter that causes gravity in our universe, but we've never been able to find out where it is. It causes all this sort of extra pull, and it should outnumber regular matter 5-1, right? In our world, there's 5 times as much dark matter as actual matter, but we don't know where it is. The hypothesis is that there is a parallel mirror reality in which those numbers are reversed, and it's having gravitational effects on our universe. So over in this hypothetical mirror world, there is actually all of our mass in our universe is having an effect on them at a ratio of 5-1.
Right.
One of the ways in which they tested this hypothesis, tried to work out whether or not there was this other mirror reality here, was by measuring the decay of neutrons. By all measurements and understanding of how quickly these things should decay, you should get a time in which they decay in 14 minutes and 39 seconds. That's a universal constant. That should be how long it takes for a neutron to decay, right?
Yeah.
But they ran this test, isolated these neutrons, locked them in a bottle, waited for them to decay, and they would sometimes get neutrons that decayed in 14 minutes and 48 seconds, 9 seconds different. And they're like, how the fuck is this universal constant not behaving? How are neutrons not just reliably decaying the same way that they know that they should over and over and over again? And they tested this and they checked for errors. They kept improving their technology, tested over and over and over and over again, and have never been able to solve it. And the conclusion or the hypothesis that they've now got to is that some of these neutrons are basically blipping into the mirror reality. And that particle, generally speaking, neutrons, can flip between both our universe and a mirror universe. And so neutrons that come from the other mirror universe, they're dying at a different time to ours.
So is this happening at a quantum level?
Well, neutrons are not at the quantum level, but yes, they're saying that if, 1 in 100 neutrons swapped into the mirror world before coming back and then emitting a proton, it would explain why the measured lifetime of this neutron is longer than it should be.
Hmm. Well, that's cool. So I was thinking initially that there was like another reality where everything was flipped. So I looked the same, except I looked how I look in a mirror, and everyone looks like,
That's perfectly hypothetical.
I write with my left hand.
It's valid. It's impossible to prove, I think, at that level of complexity. But I think the implication is that at least at the very start of these universes, they were. If you think about a Big Bang, right? We're talking in multiple dimensions now. Picture it happening on a timeline, right? That extends in both directions. And the center of this line is the Big Bang, and it just fucking boom, all of the universe and all of the matter and everything creates. And over time, as you head right along the timeline, I'll do it this way for you. Right on the timeline, all of the universe expands and grows in matter and everything, and time progresses in a linear direction. But it's also completely likely that starting at that same central point, at that moment, at the very first instance, heading in the opposite direction in negative time, you get a universe with the opposite properties, so that matter and time and energy and everything's conserved, on whatever level beyond the universe you can conceive of, right?
Okay.
So you have a mirror in which this one singular event, a Big Bang in the center of the timeline, splits off and then heads in both time and negative time or anti-time, if you think of it in like a spatial sense, right?
Right.
And so in this other universe, which is heading off quote unquote forwards, you would experience, if you're in the mirror universe, you would experience time moving forwards in the same way, right? You're just heading spatially in the opposite direction. It's like two cars starting at the same starting point, back to back, and then driving off, right? Yeah. And so the idea that these two mirror universes are kind of balanced is supported by the way that we've measured neutrons behaving.
So that makes sense.
I'll delete as much of this as possible to get to the point in which there is enough information passed on without it becoming too wordy.
Can I just ask you a tangential question on this? Has anything ever happened to you that you can't explain?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't believe that. Well, maybe you just haven't noted them. or save them.
I've never had a situation where I've been like, what's that thing in the air? Or like, I swear there was someone else in the room. Or, like any of these kind of, paranormal or supernatural kind of moments. I know I don't think you're ascribing supernatural stuff to it, but like just a question mark moment where you're like, what just happened? How did that just happen?
Yeah. I've had two moments that I can think of now. One was when I was probably about 13. I saw a man walk past the window. Well, my whole family was there, and I can like still visualize it, but there was no man there when we ran outside.
Why did you all run outside?
Because I freaked the fuck out. Like we were having like breakfast, and I screamed.
Oh, was that your house?
Yeah. And I screamed. My parents were like, what? And I was like, there was a man that just walked past the window. And then Dad went straight out, and he was like, no, that's not. Because it was like an old man. And the other one was this one. This one I still swear by, but I was a little bit stoned by myself. When I was on the balcony and I was, just enjoying myself at night. And that sounds really bad. I was just looking out.
I was stoned and jerking off.
And I was listening to music, and in the sky I saw this like big light with like green, like a green, red, blue, and a yellow light going in a circular formation and not moving, and then moving really quickly. And again, I freaked out, and I like ran downstairs and told my sister, and we went out there together, and she said, I can't see anything, and then went, you've been smoking weed, haven't you? And I said, that it doesn't matter. She was like, I'm going back inside.
And to this day, she doesn't believe you.
No. About anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's happened that my rational brain, even if I don't know the answer, couldn't ascribe an answer which is rational. It's like, oh yeah, every now and then you see something in the sky and you're like, oh, that's different. But my brain will go, well, they must have just been like testing a drone or flying a jet or, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff is easy. I guess when you're having some sort of hallucination.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've never hallucination's weird. Have you ever hallucinated?
No, this is not hallucination, and so don't disregard it with a sneer. But my migraines give me this aura, which is like a flickering black and white sort of like interference in my vision. I fucking hate it. It's much worse than a headache.
Really?
Yeah, I it comes on before the headache as well. So when I see it, I can take some painkillers. That's the only benefit of it, is I can preempt a migraine by getting ahead of it. I
didn't realize it was that bad.
Oh, it sucks so bad. It sucks bad.
Really?
Sucks bad. But like it starts sort of on the edge of your vision, then it sort of like flickers in to like the center. If you're like trying to read a line of text, the text becomes all wavy or interrupted. You squint and try and follow a sentence across, but you can't. Like the brain just doesn't receive the visual information, and it's just like having a strobe light flashing in your face for half an hour, and it sort of like morphs and like twists around, and so it'll start sort of central maybe, and then like drift outwards or come in from the sides, like wave in like a snake till you can't see anything at all. If it ever comes on, I can't drive through it. I can't read through it. It's fucking terrible. So that it's not a hallucination because it's got a biological component, which is that the blood vessels in my brain are contracted, and that causes the migraine. But it is still an imposition on my vision, and it kind of puts me off the idea of seeing, what a hallucinogen would be like.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah, it's not fun. I think you are clearly the opposite.
What do you mean?
You've used hallucinogens.
I haven't really. Once I Once I did hallucinate a lot, but that's another story. I don't know if I should tell that one here.
That's all right. Do you? We're not talking about specific experiences, but do you believe that there are therapeutic benefits to some of that experience?
Do you mean psychedelics and stuff?
Yeah, psychedelics or even drug use.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely is. And one thing, I mean, I don't really smoke weed anymore, and I haven't for like 5 years or so. I mean, I never really did because it would always, people use it to relax, but it would always only ever make me feel like all of my worries and anything that I was thinking about at the time I wouldn't be able to stop thinking about that thing. I couldn't relax on it.
Just fixate.
Yeah. But there's this dialogue, there's these things that you think throughout the day when you're, sober. There's these little thoughts, there's these things that maybe that I don't know, maybe you should be listening to your partner more, or maybe you know that you're not trying hard enough in a certain aspect of your life. And I think weed, for an example, is actually quite good at bringing those to the surface. And if you can manage it, I think it could be very beneficial. And it is weird that your subconscious can actually push things down. That's the thing that worries me, that they're actually things that I'm constantly having thoughts about on a daily basis, that I know about my life or whatever, things that I should change, but my brain is actually creating a different reality for myself that makes it actually easier to live, but it is not necessarily the true reality that maybe I should be.
But there's no such thing as an objective sense about that kind of stuff, right? Like your brain is being protective, effectively.
Sure. Yes, but that can also be to a flaw, because some of these things you should be thinking about. If you can bring those to the surface, then they can help, I think.
Absolutely.
If you can balance it. But I also think, I've done a few other bits and pieces from time to time, and like mushrooms was is a really interesting one, because it makes you realize that your perception of reality is actually quite fickle, in a sense, or it's that the way that you've, even down to like an evolutionary but an evolutionary purpose, that the way that we see colors, or the way that we can't see infrared light, or we don't have, dogs can hear things better than we can. This reality that we have with our senses is only there to help us survive.
It's malleable.
The material world. Yeah.
And
so I think those types of realizations can be really profound.
Yeah. And so you're talking about in terms of like the mushroom use, the fact that you see the world literally see it in a different way. That sort of opens your brain to the idea that, wow, this really is so subjective, right?
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of that conceptually fascinates me, and I think we're entering an era in which maybe once the boomer generation moves on a bit, we'll be approaching, the use of drugs in a different kind of scientific and medical way. Now that weed is legalized in a bunch of places, and there are more free, as in less restricted methods for science to be done on those sort of substances, I think we are going to see more and more exploration as to, what does weed do for PTSD? What does, a small microdose of LSD do to someone with, I don't know, a pain disorder or, whatever. I think there is probably latitude there for more experimentation that, due to sort of very classic prohibitionary kind of approaches to these substances, there's actually things we don't know about how they operate that could be medically and relevantly applied to, real disorders.
Yeah. And it's we'll look back on this and with some of the prohibition regarding certain drugs as pretty stupid, I would think. That's my guess, because people should be able to, unless they're negatively affecting someone else, they should, I think, be able to do whatever they want with their brain, really.
Yeah, but you look at something like alcohol, and that definitely negatively affects other people, right? Sure. I know that sounds like it actually supports what you're saying, but my question is, doesn't that demonstrate that we don't have systems or cultural processes to prevent that kind of harm, even if a substance is legal and, you required ID to purchase it and that sort of thing?
Well, we do in a sense. With you can't drink and drive. And it's a ridiculous double standard that alcohol can be made legal and other psychedelic drugs can't. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, but surely, if you're thinking about it in the context of driving, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. That I was using that to say those rules should be in place for sure, but you're not explicitly putting rules on the actual drinking itself.
So let's say that LSD becomes legal, right?
Yeah.
Just for an specific example I'm about to give. So alcohol is currently legal. You show your ID when you go to a bar. They say, "Yep, here you go. So 1 alcohol." And you drink it. There's a whole bunch of people in the room there who are also drinking. You go there with your friends, you share a drink, have a chat, listen to music, whatever. In a hypothetical world in which LSD is now legal, what does that what form does that take in which social use of these drugs is permitted? Or is it exclusively you can only do this if you're at home? Or can you go out to a bar and it's like, okay, well, let's go to the acid bar, and we're all gonna, all 4 of us are gonna go out. We're not driving because we're responsible. We'll get an Uber home, or I'll just have 1 tab and then I'll be fine later. Whatever. What form does that take in which they can perform the same harm minimization that they do at a bar for alcohol? Do you go in there and there's just a bunch of people off their face, like crawling over the ground? Are they expected to take medical care of these people because they literally do not have their faculties in the way that someone with alcohol can be expected to still have a drink or 2 and then be aware of their surroundings, not get into fights, interact with a waiter? Talk me through, if we're talking about, people are going to look back at this time as so paganistic in the treatment of drugs. What's the practical? What's your ideal hypothetical for how this enters society?
Well, I don't think it was necessarily true that if you legalized LSD, all of a sudden you had all these people like freaking the fuck out in bars and shit. Much like with the legalization of marijuana in the States, that's what everyone thought was going to happen. They're going to be walking around with stoners everywhere. And I think, it probably has happened quite a lot that people, the smell of weed is probably more prevalent in the air, and you can probably notice people with a bit more walking around with bloodshot eyes. but I don't think that it's like I don't think it would be this crazy kind of epidemic of trippies.
But we are comparing apples to oranges here, right? Like, yes, weed is not alcohol, but weed is also not a harder drug like LSD or something like that as well, right?
Yes, but like have you ever spoken to someone on LSD? Yes,
maybe without knowing. Yeah, I was thinking back quite explicitly, I think.
I mean, it's like with anything. If you take lots of it, then it will fuck you up. But I think there's a very manageable level of that to take.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that it shouldn't necessarily be legalized. I'm just asking what the actual implementation is. Do you think that it should not be legal for like there should be a dispensary like a chemist, but not sort of a bar style where people actually go there to have, to get high together when it comes to those kind of drugs?
I think for any type of drugs like that, it should be done by a certified dispensary, ideally a medical dispensary.
Okay.
I would say.
And so then you're going out on the town with your friends, you're going off to a concert later. Can you bring your LSD with you and it's legal? Can I, pop that before I head into a bar?
Yes,
or is it a zero tolerance policy?
No, you should be able to do that as long as you're not affecting anyone in the same way that we have like drunken, disorderly laws. As long as you're not encroaching on the safety or comfortability of other people around you, then.
But doesn't that create more duties of care for the staff members of those establishments?
No more so than why would it be more so than alcohol?
Well, if they're literally seeing things that aren't there, if they're if they're arguing with with a wall, if they're getting in the way of other people, if they're blocking fire exits, what happens if there's an emergency? If someone needs to get in, with a degree of alcohol, I think there's still a closer tether to reality.
Mm-hmm. I don't see it being treated any differently than alcohol. If someone's really losing their mind, then you can call the police and you can call the ambulance.
What about if someone is not a threat, but they're just like they've overdone it in the way that if someone overdrinks and they're sort of slumped, and being sort of loud or boisterous or overly drunk like you'd get at a club, that's not at the level where you call the police, right? But all of a sudden these people don't know where they are or what they're seeing, and you try and pick them up and put them in a taxi or whatever. They're not as receptive to that, or potentially more physically able to still like move around or get away from that sort of thing. Are you not then endangering your staff in a way that a really drunk person is unlikely to kick up a fight about?
I don't think so. Because alcohol in particular can and does make people more aggressive, and I don't think that would be true of something like LSD or mushrooms.
Yeah. So we're talking quite a lot about hallucinogens at the moment, but what about meth, heroin, coke?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yeah, those are interesting. You probably wouldn't want to legalize cocaine and heroin, would you? Although cocaine was legal back in the day. Everyone had even Sigmund Freud had their little snuff boxes.
Yeah.
Those were the days. They used to put
back when he died of dysentery and lived to
Coca-Cola.
35.
Imagine just getting a Coca-Cola and it's just laced with cocaine.
You could still do that today. Machine.
You can.
If I think, like, we're just talking hypotheticals at this point, but even if there was, some valid, use case for some of those harder drugs, in which you could go and get some from a dispensary, like it's a chemist, it's 100% pure. We know that it's, not laced with other shit that's going to have negative effects or whatever. And your doctor says, oh yeah, he needs, one snort of heroin in the morning to really get over his bad back or whatever.
Don't snort heroin, Nick.
Whether they like sprinkle it into a brownie or rub it onto their cheeks or do the drugs. If you got it from a licensed dealer like that, surely the use case would have to be home only, right? You would not be allowed to use any of that out in public.
Well, I don't really see why not, though, because you can already get those types of drugs legally.
Yeah.
You can get opioids.
But are you allowed to be legally using them?
Yeah.
You're talking about like medical opioids.
With a prescription.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that is fair. But the effects of those drugs are different, right? Like if you get like a strong painkiller or whatever at a doctor's surgery, that's not going to give you the high that coke off the street's going to give you.
No, but I mean, I'm sure there's like oxycodone and fentanyl and stuff that could really fuck you up.
Yeah. And
people overdose from those things all the time.
Legally prescribed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tend to agree with you that when you say that, people are going to look back at this time as somewhat confusing in its treatment of these various substances, because it is hypocritical, as you say, between tobacco and alcohol and those kind of things. And if weed becomes legalized, as the trend seems to suggest, whether there will be, the next. It's not a great argument, the whole slippery slope argument of like, oh, well, if we legalize weed, then what'll be next? But there will be some people who go, okay, well, why not the next thing? And I think there are nuances there which, deserve addressing. And there are distinctions between the effects of those drugs that deserve addressing. I was just curious as to what shape you pictured that world being.
I hadn't really thought about it until you asked me.
No,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Can I do this new segment?
Yeah.
With jingle? I'm really excited to play this jingle.
Oh, you've actually made a jing.
Yeah, what do you think I meant?
I thought you'd just like come up with a melody line. Like you'd
No, dude.
You'd sang a little. You've made a jingle.
Yeah, after this Christmas song.
Oh, you just got
I was
on its
like,
own.
I'm ready.
It's just nice to see you sort of bring the enthusiasm to embarrass yourself on the podcast, which previously I'd been the only one doing. So it's quite relaxing.
Well, how is it embarrassing? Your songs are dope.
Well, thank you. But, it's the embarrassment is in over-enthusiasm if it feels like it's been mismatched. So I'm just glad you've come up to my level.
In the news today from the Strange and Weird Fact File.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs.
Deputies say the suspect told them he's been performing sex acts on animals since the 1970s.
It's not all about my close encounter with the Yeti. Totally true.
A sticky situation at an airport in Tennessee after baggage was sprayed with rust.
Turns out the government has been taking them seriously all along.
This is Deep Thought Weird News with Michael Zuberef.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
So this is a new segment that I've basically invented out of thin air.
Whoa, slow down. Did you get permission to invent a segment? Did you run that by the board? Did you pay the registration fees for jingle fees?
I haven't paid any fees. I didn't know I needed to.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll be legally allowed to do this segment. There's a whole bunch of bureaucracy. It is so obnoxious these days what you have to get through to get a jingle on the air.
I did not know that.
Okay. Well, let's just record it, and I'll just start the paperwork now, and maybe we post this in like April or May.
All right. Sorry, I didn't know. I honestly had no idea that.
That's all right. It's one of those things. I guess you just have to sort of do it to know it. But yeah, I'll send you the links.
Weird. Okay, so this is a segment called Weird News. I'm just gonna. It's pretty obvious what it is.
What's this segment about?
This segment is just a weird news story that I found.
Okay.
Simple. This week, I've got a couple to choose from. Nick, there's been some weird stories out there, man. Oh, by the way, this is not to be confused with seance news, which is strictly news about the supernatural.
Strictly supernatural, yeah.
There might be some overlap.
What? Okay. The start of that sentence was, "This is not to be confused with," and the end of the sentence was, "There will be some overlap."
I said there might be some overlap. I'm not.
So
I can't.
Okay, so here's what's happening. I said to you last time, I only ever got to use that Seance News jingle once, and you said, "Nick, I'll find you some Seance News. We'll bring it back. I love the jingle." Then what happens? I wait a month. We get back on the podcast. What have you done? You've decided, actually, I want my own jingle. I'm going to reproduce this segment, but with my own brand on it. Here's the story I would have used in yours, but instead I'm keeping for mine.
No, okay. So I understand your feelings, and I do love the Seance News jingle. I really do. However, I'm going to keep it strictly so that, and you know what? I've found there's been some supernatural news in the world, and I found some. But I mean, I don't think we should have 3 news segments.
I think we've got more than that already, because we've got George Clooney news, science news, seance news.
We're basically just the news.
There was curry facts. This feels a lot to me like a reiteration of the fun facts, Michael's facts dilemma, in which my brilliant segment, fun facts, you gotta fun facts, it's the fun facts, was very quickly replaced with Michael's facts the week after, in which you came up with a different theme song and insisted it was a different thing. So I'm sorry for bringing back, bringing the fucking receipts. This is the second time you tried to bloody steal a segment that I've already created.
No. And
do your own fucking thing with it.
I created Seance News, okay? I created it. You just wrote the jingle for it. I made it real. You brought it to life.
Okay, thank you.
Which is
actually quite nice. All you did was make it exist, but that doesn't count as creating it.
You legitimized it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is, I want 60% of the profits from weird news.
Okay. If it even passes at the
at the tribunal
state
stage.
level. All right. So weird news this week, and there will be Seance News. Seance News lives next week. All right. First weird news ever. So exciting. All right. Headline: Man wakes up to find burglar sucking his toes. A man has been traumatized after waking up in the middle of the night to find a burglar sucking his toes. The victim, 20, told the intruder that he didn't have any money, but the man responded that he didn't want cash, just wanted to suck toes, according to a police report. They began to fight, with the suspect claiming he would pull a gun from his pants and grabbing his genitals as if to do so. I don't understand that. Thankfully, he didn't pull out a gun.
Most people keep their genitals in the pants, obviously. Right. After
Maybe
this
he was
week,
referring,
you've lost sort of context.
Maybe he was referring to his genitals as the gun. After leaving, the man smashed the victim's car windscreen and then fled. Police were called, blah, blah, blah. This is in Florida. This is on Christmas Eve, by the way.
2019.
2019.
Brilliant.
And police took swabs of DNA from between the victim's toes to try and
So here's my
imagine
question.
that.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Can you sort of make this more dense for me? You know, I'm not able to grasp all the detail that you've given.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, if you could give me sort of just the headline, I guess.
See, this is the perfect representation of you and me.
One, a deeply resourced, carefully read and translated New Scientist argument. The other, a Florida headline about a man who sucked some guy's toes.
Yeah, baby. That's how I do it. Anyway, they haven't made any arrests, so this toe sucker is still on the loose. So if you're in Florida,
keep your toes tight.
Wear some socks, maybe.
Well, a burglar can take socks off, can't they? But you probably wake up. Do you
probably
reckon
wake
I
up.
could take your socks off in your sleep without you knowing?
Yes. Actually, no. I'm a very light sleeper. I would know this. I would wake up the second you entered the room.
You're like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Dad, the grandpa's at the window again.
Yeah, you've got to. Don't make fun of that. I would smell you, and it would be incorporated into my dream.
Okay, don't make it weird.
Because you've got that very distinctive musk.
Just to be clear, this is natural musk you're referring to, not like my aftershave or anything. Cologne.
I don't know what it is. It just
okay. So it could just be it could be my cologne.
It could be.
Cool. I got a couple of follow-up questions.
Cool.
So you've already said when it happened.
Yeah.
Very recently. Mm-hmm. I want to know genders of the parties involved.
2 men.
2 men. Yeah. Here's my other question. Do you think this guy does this as his modus operandi? Like, this is why he went into the house. He was like, looking for some toes. Where do I go? There's a guy. He's got some feet. They look pretty good. I'll sneak back there later. Or, secondly, do you think this is a fallback position? And he was breaking in, and he was like looking for the, like, I don't know, the weed stash or like the safe with some jewels in it. Maybe find a MacBook to fence. He walked past someone carefully who was sleeping in the other room and just double take.
Yeah.
Double take his walk past the thing.
He panicked. He panicked. The guy was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You're like, "Just sucking your toes, dude. That's all."
Look at those 5 fleshy leg fingers.
Just shimmering in the moonlight.
I think plans might have changed over here in Burglarville, and decided, you know what? I'll leave the safe. Something else has come up.
Yeah. Are you a burglar if you don't take anything?
What if you take?
Not a good one.
What if you take someone's innocence?
I mean, in this case, that could be true. I think what's happened is that. I think in this case, it's a guy with a foot fetish.
Okay, so you think this is the goal?
Yeah, I hope so.
Weird thing to hope. In some ways, wouldn't it be better to hope that it was just sort of an accidental thing?
No, yeah, you're right.
I mean, like,
she completely 180 on what I just said.
Went in there to just like grab a slice of pizza off the counter, and then it was like, oh, you know what? I've always wanted to just suck a guy's toes. Seems like it's. I mean, you know, when the opportunity strikes, you know.
I just don't understand this story at all, to be honest.
Florida.
And like, what did he expect when the guy woke up? Just be like, just shut up. Just shut up.
Don't ruin the moment. Shh. I'm nearly done.
And the victim having to call the police and tell the police this.
Yeah, but well,
But he
actually,
also smashed
there's
his
an
windscreen on
interesting
the way out.
asterisk. Okay, here, flip side, Grindr date. Looking around for someone who wants to come suck some toes. Person gets here, turns out to be a catfish. Turns out to be not exactly what they thought it was. Starts going, thinking, I don't know if this is how I want it anymore. How am I going to get this guy out of my house? He's not getting the hint. I get it. Time for call the police, pretend that I was burgled. How am I going to get rid of all of this like saliva on my toes? Well, get a swab and claim it was a crime. There have been weirder stories.
True. They have. Yeah. Has this ever happened to you?
No. No one that I've never known.
Weird answer.
If you've enjoyed this show, well, good news. There's plenty more. And if you haven't, there'll be one in 2 weeks. That's a promise. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can get in touch with us and follow up with us. There's deepfort.podbean.com. That's got all the episodes. Grab the RSS feed, throw it in a podcast player, live a beautiful, happy life. Get it on the road. You can jump on the Apple Music Store and the App Store. Give us a rating for the feed. Go, write a review. Everyone loves that. There's facebook.com/deepfort. We put up thoughts. You can send us questions. It's all great. There's a back and forth. Twitter.com/deepfort. Get a notification if there's new episodes that have gone live. Send a question or a comment or, just a emoji to deepfort@gmail.com and go listen to our jingles, which will be up on soundcloud.com/deepfort, including Michael's brand new Weird News. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. I hope everyone's having a good 2020, by the way. Been a bit of a weird start.
Yeah, like straight into a war.
Straight into a war for a second. There was some apocalyptic fires, which had killed 1 billion animals.
Fuck.
There's been an impeachment trial. There's some shit going down. So this is a bit of a grab bag episode. Let's finish with a game. This one, I suppose it's a descendant of former games that we've played. It's called Celebrity Height. Now, you might have jumped ahead of me here. You might feel like you know how this works, but if you don't, let me run through it. We both find 3 celebrities each. We challenge each other to correctly guess their height.
Great.
Celebrities, of course, being famously difficult to predict, always quote-unquote shorter in real life. Going off some solid Google data here about heights, and let's see whether or not our perceptions of their height fit their actual heights.
All right. Are we doing in, feet?
That's a good question. I think Google spit out.
I can't guess meters. I can't do the conversion.
Okay, we'll do it in feet then. Even though metric is a better system, but I understand. Alrighty, so we'll each grab 3 heights. We'll go back and forth. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Alrighty.
Prince Harry. How tall is he? Topical.
Prince Harry. Okay.
Having just left the royal family.
Yes. He probably is standing a little bit taller now. He's a bit got some independence. I think he's definitely over 6. I think he's probably 6'1".
Fucking nailed it, dude.
Did I really?
6'1". You did.
Holy shit.
Right on the money.
That's very good.
He looks like 6'1's a good height. What's the ideal height, do you think, for you?
I think it's
for a guy.
I think it's as in relative to me. Do I want them bigger or smaller? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no, but I want to hear that one.
I think I like being a little bit taller.
Yeah.
But I'm tall enough that a guy that I'm taller than can still be tall. I think I measured myself because I'd always said that I was... Did I say this on the last podcast? I might have. I'm sorry. I'd always said that I was 6 foot or whatever. And then when I actually measured myself over the Christmas holidays, I was like 2 centimeters taller than I was. Anyway, so yeah, someone can still be 6 foot and be smaller than me. So that's, it's still tall. Alrighty, Tom Cruise.
I think he's been notoriously painted as short, which I think is true, but I don't think he's as short as people make it out to be. So I'm going to go 5'6".
Ooh, pretty close. 5'8". He's actually taller again than you think he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry, Thomas. Thomas Cruise.
Thomas J. Cruz.
All right, Nicolai.
Nice to meet you. This is the first time that we've met. Thank you for saying my name correctly, Nicolai.
That's what you were when you were young.
Yeah.
You were a Nicolai. How tall do you think Trump is?
Gosh, that's a good one. He's got to be... He's Cruz height. He's probably like 5'8".
So wrong.
Really?
6'3".
He cannot... No, he's absolutely not. I'm sorry.
How he looks tall, man.
He cannot be 6'3". I'm sorry.
Why do you not think so? I would have guessed 6'4".
No, I'm sorry. That is one of those bullshit Trumpism things where someone has like written the wrong height for him.
What?
It's like, have you seen those photos of him like painted shirtless, like dressed like a fucking 17th century Washington kind of style general crossing the Delaware or straddled on like a horseback or something like that? That I'd be shocked.
But why do you think he's not?
Because he's so squat and fucking fat.
He seems tall to me.
That's just because you're impressed by his ego.
I love his ego.
So, a tall tale, accuracy of Trump's medical report, a new height
6'2".
is questioned. Trump's driver's license issued in May 2012 stated his height as 6'2". According to the report issued by the White House physician, it's 6'3".
So he did
one image showed Trump standing next to former baseball player Alex Rodriguez, who is 6'3". Rodriguez looks considerably taller. Okay, I send you this image as a discussion point.
I can see it.
You can see
it. Yeah, I'm on the thing. Yeah, but I mean, he could be wearing different shoes. You can't tell from
No,
that.
I think the fact that people have noticed this. Look at the same height of Trump and Barack Obama.
Anyway,
I'm
6'2",
saying,
6'3".
I was wrong that he's sub 6 probably, but he's definitely not as tall as he claims to be. You can see literal photo proof of his height compared to people with objectively known heights.
I'm surprised he doesn't wear those platform shoes.
He probably does.
Probably does. He's probably 5'9".
He's definitely never had enough calcium to stop osteoporosis, so I'm sure that he's like slumped in height. Anyway, good distraction. Okay, number 2 for me, Stephen Merchant.
I feel like I know this one. 6'7".
Oh, well done. Yeah, you're completely right.
I've heard that before. He talks about it.
Yeah, I thought you might underguess, but that's all good.
I was going to choose Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, good. 6'7".
Last one, Daniel Radcliffe.
Ooh, I think he's going to be shorter than I think. I think he's 6'9". No, 5'9". 5'9", sorry. 5'9". He's 2 inches taller.
He's actually
than
7'2". Yeah.
5'9".
What did you say? 5'9". He's way shorter than that. He's a midget. He's
Really?
5'5".
5'5".
Yeah.
He's shorter than Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That sounds like fucking Hobbit tall. How tall is Elijah Wood?
that
5'5".
sounds like how long is a piece of string?
Yeah, 5'5".
Is he?
Yeah, that's a bonus one. All right, here we go. Judi Dench.
Judi Dench. Why would I know how tall she is?
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, okay.
Dame Judi Dench.
She's probably Radda's height. She's probably, I'm going to go 5'5".
You're going to go for Radcliffe height?
Yeah.
For like a 90-year-old woman?
She's on par. Okay, less than that?
Yeah.
Fine, 5'3". My mum's height.
Less.
No.
Yep.
5'1".
5'2". Yeah, split the difference. 5'2".
Shit. Weird.
5'2" is 157 centimeters.
Yeah.
That's a full
too
30
short.
centimeters less than me. So that's like, she caps off at like my chest bone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's an image.
Yeah, and that's how we snuggle at night.